As a wise man once told me, beware the spoilers. What's up, guys? I'm OKKOTSU, and here we want to do a breakdown / discussion and analysis of the spoilers for Chapter 250 of Jujutsu Kaisen. The decisive battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku, part 22? I think 22? I'm pretty sure 22, it may be 21. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I must sincerely apologize for the inconvenience of me not having faith. Like, I'll be real. I gotta sincerely apologize. I'm sorry. I mean, some things, at least in these rough translations, do get confirmed that your boy was cooking a little bit. Your boy may have something juicy in his brain a little bit. But also, it also confirms that your boy was wrong in a couple ways. But we got a hefty, defty chunk to talk about, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times, just like YUTA OKKOTSU tends to have it on him times like 1,000. Like, bro just has sword after sword after sword after sword after sword after sword in authentic, true, mutual love. But I'll admit, this already, like, I'm trying to think of all the Jujutsu Kaisens we've gotten. I think this is already in, like, my top 3. I know that's crazy. But, like, I think the only Jujutsu Kaisens that are better than this one so far, because once again, it seems like it's still going to keep happening in 251. The only Jujutsu Kaisen that's still better than this, definitively in my brain, is Todo and Yuji versus Mahito. That's the only Jujutsu Kaisen. And even then, this is... all I need is one boogie woogie. YUTA, I just need to see you clap once, bro. And then we're probably clearing it, because this chapter is some gas. But of course, we open up and we get to see this was a great sorcerer's domain. There are infinite katanas. Infinite. So at least in my mind, that does kind of soft confirm that a lot of the katanas overlap. This is one thing that would kind of be solved if the katanas had unique designs but aren't blank. But as it's explained in these rough translations, and presumably what will be explained in the fully translated chapter, there's a reason the katanas are blank. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But it's likely... See, I'm not sure how much domain structuring YUTA himself did. Like, in a way, Hikari built his own domain. And Higuruma was blessed with a domain, which he reverse engineered into a base technique. But I'm genuinely wondering how much construction YUTA did himself and how many benefits come with the construction he went with, based on everything that's established here in these loose spoilers. But with that being the case, it's revealed that YUTA doesn't know what katana holds what technique until he wields it. And that's... I'm not going to say it's whack, specifically because he can still have a sure hit. If this was a... I'm going to say it verbatim. If this was a non-sure hit domain, I'd be a little bit worried about this domain's potency, because, like, if you just press YUTA, but I guess Rika's always there too, like, unless you cast the domain, like, but then again, Rika could just shatter it from the outside. That would also shut down Yuta's technique, but, like, that'd be fine. It's base YUTA and Rika versus you would still probably be a very bad matchup. But essentially, it's, if you could just bully through YUTA, then the domain wouldn't be good. But that doesn't even matter, because the domain's still fantastic, because it has the sure hit. And sure, he doesn't know which technique he's going to get until he draws the katana, but still, with infinite katanas and them literally being littered everywhere, he can just grab one. Oh, I don't like this one, throw it at you anyway. Use whatever technique is in there, then grab another one. Hopefully that one's better. It's kind of, ironically enough, now I think about it, it's kind of very similar to Hikari's domain, in the sense that there's probability going into it. Like, you don't know which one you're going to grab. And that's interesting. And there's another thing that kind of gets answered here that I'm interested to see extrapolated on once the full translations come out and everything's cleaned up. Because there's so many interesting things, so many interesting questions I have about this domain that I'll probably still end up making a discussion on YUTA's domain video later on. I think we don't have a break next week. I've been hearing mixed things, but I think it was just a mistranslation. I think there is no break next week, which is hallelujah. But with that being the case, we see that YUTA can apply one of the CTs he's copied as the sure hit in his domain. And apparently it's confirmed by the narrator. In this case, it is Jacob's Ladder, which is good, which is very, very good. It leads to an interesting debacle later on in the chapter, though, But then again, I guess you could argue because he's still inside Hollow Wicker. Hollow Wicker Basket, I feel like it doesn't get drawn very often in this chapter, but also it's just annoying to draw. Like, I've tried to draw a Hollow Wicker Basket before. And trust me, it's more annoying than it looks. It looks very simple to draw, but it's actually quite annoying to draw. So I can understand why it doesn't pop up all too often. But let me see, yeah. We never see bro in Hollow Wicker Basket, but we'll get to the reason why I'm wondering about, like, the potency of Jacob's Ladder and how sure the sure hit is in a bit. But we see YUTA OKKOTSU. He holding that thing at him. He's got another katana and he's ready to press. And we see that press he does as YUTA OKKOTSU. Once again, I'm going to call him by his proper title, YUTA OKKOTSU. He sends out true Shikigami technique. And really, once again, these are the mini Rikas. So it makes me wonder if he just doesn't have maybe it's a logic thing because of the scale of the domain. But does he not have access to any bigger Shikigami? Like, why not? Like, remember, those massive Shikigami that we saw when Kenjaku saved Itadori's high school friend, those were Drew's. Like those were Drew's Shikigami. He didn't just have mini ones. But I guess Yuta isn't using them because it probably take up too much cursed energy. Because I don't, you know what, there's so many little things in this chapter that have me asking questions, but good questions. Like, the general, if I had to say, the reason the chapters peak is the general nature of the Jujutsu Kaisen between our two main characters. Well, previous main character reduced to a more side character role, and our current main character. That's gas. But there are also little things in this chapter that make me ask questions. No bad questions or anything like that, just questions for clarification's sake, and wondering if Gege's building in a loopholes for things later. But we see that the mini Shikigami, they rush in, and Jujutsu Kaisen, as the translations very clearly say, jump Kaisen. I always call it Jujutsu Kaisen, because I think that's funnier, but Jump Kaisen begins, and Yuta sends mini Rikas with Drew Shikigami technique, but I'm not even sure what Sugata does here. This is one thing that'll benefit from the cleaning. Does he just, like, smack them? I have no idea what happens here. But apparently he just sends them away. But Yuji, immediately, he's like, why I oughta, make. And he just hits Sugata with two quick ones, nice and speedy with it. And Sugata does block them. But that's the thing. Sugata, he's kind of in a rough spot. As we see, by blocking those hits, his soul's starting to jiggle again. Before, the big issue that we had is that Yuji just couldn't hit Sukuna. Sukuna was still way too fast. But it looks like since he has to be mostly stationary to be using Hollow Wicker Basket, which makes... I get why Symbol Domain was created. Because Hollow Wicker Basket seems kind of booty meat. Like, I don't know. The thing is, though, there's something that happens later that makes it seem less booty meat. But, like, jeez, dog. Like, what if you were fighting someone with a sure hit domain and you had to hold Hollow Wicker Basket and they could still attack you? Like what was the word? But of course, we do get to see that it isn't just Yuji Tadori shaking up Sukuna's soul that he has to worry about, as from the heavens comes the divine queen of curses, saying, I need my lick back, and proceeds to punch down on Sukuna, which he does dodge, but note, he's still holding the hands, which means you can move a bit in Hollow Wicker Basket, which is fine. I think that is better. But geez, man, he's still in a rough spot. And with that being the case, this is one of, at least so far, outside of like just general combat applicability, where you can just punch with one arm, punch with another arm, punch with another arm, punch with another arm, 2 extra limbs. This is one of the best examples of 2 hands or 2 sets of hands being really, really useful. He's able to maintain the effects of Hollow Wicker Basket while moving around, because he's constantly able to hold this. Where if he couldn't do that, if this wasn't on the table, if he just had 2 arms, he wouldn't be able to defend himself at all. He'd have to keep holding this the entire time. He couldn't use the other extra arms for defense. And I do like that he's using his lower arms, because it just makes more sense, because the other arms are like on top of the shoulders of the lower arms, so he has more mobility with them. And of course, we see that while Rika fumbles, notice what state Rika's in. She's still unmanifested. That's weird. That's very weird. And here's the thing, right? It's not necessarily too weird, but remember what happens when you slide the ring on, right? Yuta gets access to fully manifested Rika, her reserves of cursed energy, and the copy technique. So why isn't Rika fully manifested? Like, I wonder if it's intentional. Like, is Yuta holding Rika back for some reason? Like, Rika, we can't commit regicide like this, Rika, stop. Like, is it something like that? Or is it like a sort of binding vow thing? Because it doesn't get established. It does not get established whether, at least I don't think so. We'll reread through the rest of the spoilers and I'll see. But the time limit. The time limit's the big issue, right? Because YUTA only has 5 minutes. And sure, we're an anime, so 5 minutes, if we go by Dragon Ball logic, could be like 13 episodes. But, and in this case, probably like 47 chapters. But, with this, in this reality, if he has extended his time limit, I wonder if he did that by making it so that Rika stays unmanifested, which admittedly is just less useful. We know that there is a quantifiable difference between unmanifested Rika and fully manifested Rika. We see this way back. I say way back. It's only like, we're on 250? 180. 70 chapters ago. So it is kind of way back. I think that's like nearly 2 years ago now. But 2 years ago, if you remember, it's just explicit statement by the narrator that fully manifested Rika could not handle Ryu's punches. She did, which was why I find that statement funny. But like, she took them well enough. But she's very clearly stronger in her fully manifested state than her unmanifested state. So why not use her fully manifested? If not just to restrain Sukuna and let's let Itadori and let's YUTA, like, why not? I think it may have something to do with extending the time limit, because only 5 minutes may not be good, but if you can sack Rika, not in the sense like you literally get rid of her, but you sack Rika's fully manifested power and substitute for more time, I think that'd be interesting. But that doesn't get noted here at all. Rika's just unmanifested for some reason. Interesting. But of course Sukuna dodges, because if Ryu can dodge it and react to it, of course Sukuna can dodge and react to it. And we see that YUTA OKKOTSU has wasted no time. He comes in with sky manipulation. Now, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. I believe this shows that YUTA can basically absorb the technique into himself. Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure. Because as the rough translation state, YUTA then follows up with Uro's space bending, CT, sky manipulation. As Sukuna prepares to face it, he analyzes himself and realizes he can't use domain, and his RCT is dull due to his battle with Gojo. So, I'll take that. A big thing that I was definitely worried about is that Gojo is going to end up having no effect on the battle based on how 249 was going, but apparently, while his RCT is sharpening back up, it still is very, very dull due to Gojo and the brain damage. And then something else gets revealed later on that's also very, very important. Once again, we'll see if this holds true once the translations come out, especially once the officials come out. But still, this is crazy. And the reason I'm putting so much emphasis on YUTA seemingly just bending space here, interesting, because, and why is he using his upper arms here? I just realized that. It looks like he's using his upper arms. Is this supposed to be his lower arms? Because he was using his lower arms in the previous shot. Did he switch to upper arm? Whatever. But the reason this is interesting is, I thought YUTA just had to use the katanas. But if he's able to bend space, and as we see him do something else later on, then maybe it gets even better. Once again, one of the ideas that I had for YUTA's domain, way back when I made the YUTA's domain video, was he just had unlimited access to copy. And could possibly start stacking them. So I wonder, can he wield, like, I think maybe this is supposed to be a katana? I can't necessarily tell here. But let me see. In fact, let me go to the next page. Let me see if he has the katana in hand. Yeah, he does have a katana here. So maybe he's wielding that as well. But doesn't he use cursed speech immediately? Hold on. He's still holding the same katana. That's the thing. He's not wielding a different one. But essentially, I'm wondering if he can stack techniques in the sense that he can pick up a katana that has its own unique technique, and he can pull out a technique of his own. Like, he can have sky manipulation in one hand, literally, as in a blade that has sky manipulation in it, and then he can pull out her speech or something like that. Or, at the end of this chapter, is he stacking techniques when he starts to use someone else's CT that I didn't even think he was going to be able to get because I didn't see him anywhere. But I guess maybe Akari snitched or he showed up off screen. Like, even then I went way back in time and I mentioned, I feel accomplished. Usually because I'm wrong on JJK stuff. I'm like 50-50. Like, notably, I knew Higuruma and Kashima weren't going to do anything. That was correct. I was completely dead wrong on Gojo, though. Quite literally dead wrong. So, I don't know. I'm low-key going 50-50, bar for bar. But with that being the case, we see, I guess you gotta throw YUTA in there. So I really am 50-50 in terms of like weight and accuracy and what I predict. But with that being the case, Gojo having such a lasting effect is good. I do like that he hasn't been fully invalidated. And I do think it is very much necessary. And Gojo does get some, I'm not gonna say retroactive glaze, but kind of retroactive glaze later on, which I do appreciate. in the sense of what is said later by our current main character and former main character. But of course, we see Sukuna still smiling, and I do find it neat that Sukuna can just run a oh, that's why this looks weird. He doesn't have his extra face, or if he does, we've never seen it so tiny. I think this maybe is meant to be his extra face here. Huh. Like, for some reason, this Sukuna image was looking weird to me. I wasn't going to comment on it, but then I realized it's just because you don't see so much of his extra face, so he actually looks mostly human here. Especially with the upper arm seemingly doing the hollow wicker basket now. You can't even see his lower arms in this shot, so that's why he looks normal. That's why I was caught so off guard. But of course, we see that this was something I was begging for. I forget which video. This is what happens. Like, someone made a hilarious comment. Dude, you produce so many videos. I don't know. I can't keep up with all of them. And for one, I'm sorry. And for two, I swear, it's an issue for me too. Sometimes when I go to make videos, because my brain process works weird, I'll think of a video and I'll open up a Google Doc that has a list of like 100 videos that I plan to do, and I'll type it in there. But sometimes when I make videos, especially when I'm bulk recording, I forget to go back and delete some of those, so I do have to like quickly pop a search into Google and make sure I haven't done a video before. But I forget which video it's in where I mentioned this, but Rika throwing Yuji. Good stuff. Good, beautiful stuff. Perfect. No notes. Fantastic. Sending Yuji off like a bottle rocket from unmanifested Rika is crazy yet perfect. I love it. I love it so much. That's gorgeous. Gege. Good stuff. It's one of my favorite things about the Maki and Yuji jump. I love when Maki scooped up Yuji and used him as a weapon. I love that Rika straight up says, fine, I won't use you as a blade. I'll use you as a javelin, and just yeets Yuji. It's so beautiful. And I love how Yuji's so ready for it too. Like, notably, it looks like he was just prepared. He has his arms crossed. He's in like the water slide position and everything. And he's like, yeah! And gets launched at Mach 5. Which is so perfect. And we see that Yuta's like, you know what time it is, Sukuna man, as he pulls down another sky manipulation. Note, he's using his hand to use the sky manipulation, not using the blade, so I think he can just use it independently now that he's grabbed it. And I love this. I love this detail. I love that the regular human eyes are locked on Yuji, who's coming at him from his left, and I love how the big mutated eyes are directly locked on Yuta, coming on his right. I do love how Sukuna's body is being used in all those perfect ways. Because, one thing I do fear, mainly because of Ben 10, I ain't gonna lie to you, sometimes it feels like forearms could have two arms, and regular eyes, and it wouldn't matter. Like you could just remove it, because half the time I feel like they aren't used to their full potential. But in this chapter especially, it's really nice to see Sukuna use all aspects of his grotesque but perfectly mutated form, whether it be from tracking people with his eyes to maintaining hollow wicker basket with certain hands and not other hands. All of this is really, really cool detail that can only come from a person with 4 arms and eyes like this, which is really, really nice. It's kind of like, I was about to say a praying mantis, but a praying mantis also only has 2 arms. So, but regardless, it's really, really neat. And we see that Sukuna, once again, it's crazy, right? Because Sukuna's forced to block, but he can't block. He very explicitly needs to dodge Yuji. But since his lower arms are once again consistently being taken up, and Yuta's still here pressing him, he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Well, unless he dodges both. That's the thing. But how effectively can he dodge while using hollow wicker basket? That's the real question here. Because, of course, as it's revealed later, Sukuna, if he was anywhere near his actual full capacity, would be able to one-shot these two. Like, this isn't... Like, they're putting up a good fight because bro is omega crazy fatigued and messing around. But then again, should he really be messing around at this point? And is this evidence for Sukuna not holding back? Because why would he not dodge Yuji's hits? He knows every single one of Yuji's hits are shaking up his soul, getting him all nice and jiggly. So why wouldn't he dodge if he could, right? Like, if he couldn't just backstep right here. Like, he's being pressed on the left and on the right, but like, Sukuna, you can move in more than 2 directions, bro. You don't have to go left or right. You can go forward, you can move backwards. He very specifically doesn't do that. I wonder if that's a limitation of hollow wicker basket, but then again, we see him dodge, seemingly enough, backwards from Rika's punches while still maintaining hollow wicker basket. So I don't know. It's very interesting to watch. I wonder if Sukuna is still just gambling, or if he's genuinely being pressed. I want to say he's gambling. I do really want to say he's gambling, because it really doesn't make sense otherwise. Unless both Yuji and Yuta are just stronger and faster than Kashima. mystical Phantom Beast Amber Kashima. That's kind of what this would have to imply if he's not just dodging. I understand him sort of like face-tanking Yuta's hits, because like you can literally see, maybe he's using the blade technique again, where he's like sending out little mini dismantles, but he just palms Yuta's blade here, no issue. Presumably Yuta's swinging with most of his force here, and he still just palms it. But Yuji in particular, you grab him or you weave him. The fact that he still takes the hits here is kind of crazy. Maybe that brain ain't braining right now, so getting that brain damage still hitting. And when we see Yuji Itadori's like, give me this. I love, once again, it's kind of the difference in the two characters' fighting styles. Yuta is very refined, purposeful. He wields the blade accurately and beautifully. Meanwhile, you have Yuji, I'm feral, and I've always been feral. Itadori running in, mink, mink, being thrown at Mach 5 to latch right onto Sukuna's arm. It's just, once again, it's a beautiful way to juxtapose these two characters' fighting styles, especially considering their similar roles in the narrative. I love that Gege is going out of his way, in this chapter particularly, to differentiate all three of our fighters and how their biology and how their ability to attack and how everything is playing into how the fight is going. Rika can do literally anything, so she's doing literally anything, dropping from the sky, launching people. Yuji Itadori, any hit he lands is a hit that's valuable, so he's getting them hits in wherever he can, whether it be a little mink-mink, whether it be being launched, tagging, and then grabbing on. I love how YUTA OKKOTSU is consistently swapping techniques, going from regular thin icebreakers into sky manipulation, a Drew Shikigami technique, into something else very, very soon. And I love how Sukuna is just being forced to use every single one of his assets, from his eyes to his arms to his lower arm. Everything's being used. All we need is a feet cleave. Give us a thieve, Sukuna. Give us a thieve. But of course, we see Yuji latch on, and then we get the reveal that Yuji can perceive. Perceive? What in the world? He can perceive the realm between Sukuna and Megumi's soul, striking exactly where he needs to. So Yuji's soul perception has gone from a passive thing to an active thing. A lot of people are saying this is Yuji's curse technique. I'm a little bit hesitant on that. Mainly because I think he just got better perception of it from the soul book that Yuki gave him, plus all of his experience with Sukuna and Mahito. I still don't think this counts as Yuji's curse technique. Not even for the fact that it would be turned off, because we get a reveal later on in this chapter that everything is turned off. Well, no, everything for Sukuna is turned off, but no one else is. The sure hit is only targeting Sukuna, which is good. It explains why Rika is able to still exist. I know she's more Shikigami than Cursed Spirit, but she's very specifically not Yuta's technique, at least not in the traditional sense. So if she was also getting hit by Jacob's Ladder, she should just be, and just be burning alive, but she isn't. So Yuta is revealed to just be a domain demon, because of course Yuta's a domain demon too. But with that being the case, I still don't think this soul stuff is Yuji's technique. I think he either A, still has blood manipulation, B, has a variation of blood manipulation, or C, he's just using his understanding of the soul better and striking there. Because notably, he's perceiving the difference between the realms. And we know people can see souls in JJK. Like, legitimately, this is the thing that Maki and Toji do automatically. They can even see the souls of inorganic matter. So it makes sense that Yuji, another person who is extremely powerful, yet does not have a confirmed technique at this point, would be able to see the soul and this time strike it. As remember, Maki and Toji can also see souls and strike them. Though admittedly, only with Soul Split. Well, yeah, only with Soul Split Katana. But then again, that's not even confirmed. We never see Maki or Toji go up against a Mahito type, where it's specifically relying on soul attacks. We don't know how much soul interaction Maki and Toji can do without Soul Split Katana. But since they can see souls, and apparently seeing souls is a basic requirement for Soul Split and to attack Mahito, it's very likely that this is just a ability that can be acquired. Heck, even Gojo, who had very little knowledge of the soul at all, accidentally attacked the darn thing with his sure hit of his domain, and also he could perceive souls with the 6 eyes. So Yuji's soul perception here, I've been seeing people call it Yuji's curse technique, and I'm fine if it is, don't get me wrong, but I still think bro may have more in the bag here. But of course, the question is, what is he going to use that bag on? And what do these darn gauntlets do? Because we still don't get the specific utilization for them. At this point, I'm assuming it's just an extrapolation of Yuji's understanding of a soul. Because remember, the soul reflects the body. It's why Mahito was so dangerous. Like, the reason Todo could never get that hand back is because his hand was detonated. And his soul is currently in the shape of a detonated hand, meaning it would never restore itself to a usable state again. That's why Todo has yet to appear in over like 130 chapters, maybe more. But with this case, it's not just the idea that, oh, well, Yuji has been able to see the soul and can strike at the gap in between the two boundaries. It's very likely he can manipulate the very shape of it, turning his own flesh into these certain things. And that's maybe where he stored all of the Sukuna cursed energy, or at least a majority of it, because that would explain why they're so resistant, if not flat out immune to Sukuna slashes, I don't think we'll see it in this chapter, but we've seen before. And of course, we see that Yuji's main goal isn't necessarily just to knock Megami out, but it's right now just disrupting the balance, the fusing of the two souls, which does imply that despite all that Sukuna did, it really was like a rough shot job. Even with the bath, even with slaying your rose with the 10 channels technique, even with Megami getting slammed by numerous unlimited voids, everything Sukuna did, it's still like, you can still punch at it. There still is a gap. There still is a realm between the two souls, meaning they didn't fundamentally merge, which is very, very crazy, considering all that Sukuna went through to make sure that merger was possible, before the actual merger was possible. But, of course, we see that while Megami's soul's been sunk super duper deep into the depths of Ryoma and Sukuna, it's still there. It's possible to wake it up by just like, I feel like everyone has known that one person in their life where no matter what you do, no matter how you do it, you can fight all you want, but they will just never rise. They will never stir. They'll just be, and you just gotta, like, not hit them. Don't hit your friends. I was about to say unless they ask for it, but like, don't hit your friends. But like, I've had to grab and wake up some of my friends or family members before, and it's like, wow, we gotta go. And that's the kind of thing that Yuji's doing towards Megami right now. Shaking him, jostling his soul free from the chains that have bound it. And that's interesting. So it could lead to Megami waking up. And I don't know. I've slowly been weaned off the idea that Megami can't recover from his soul getting hit by the unlimited voids. I'm slowly getting weaned off the fact. So while personally, I think they should just try to off Sukuna while they have the chance. Maybe Megami can come back and start fighting back and start... Because we saw that even a super sad, depressed Megami that just got soul snatched or body snatched, he was already starting to fight back then. So if they can get Sukuna to a state where Megami's that conscious again and he's like, you did this to me, and then we get like a... The Seven Deadly Sins anime has been out for a while, and I doubt JJK fans are going to go read. There's a very similar situation in Seven Deadly Sins where there's a character who's consumed by another character deep within the depths of their soul, and then once that character wakes up within the depths of the other character's soul, they start to fight back. They start to make me, throw hands inside the inner... Well, it basically is just the innate domain of the possessee's soul. And that may be what's happening here. Yuji's main goal is to wake Megami up and then fight back. Of course, this leads to the question of, like, what happens to Sukuna if he gets knocked loose? Does he revert back to Fingers? Does he revert back to Mummy? Or do they legit just separate Megami and Sukuna? No idea. But of course, we see Sukuna being like, I'm getting sick and tired of every one of you idiotic individuals. And he grabs Yuji, which admittedly is... like, Yuji has bro's arm in lockstep. We literally see that Yuji has, like... He essentially... I think this is an armbar. I do not know anything about fighting. Alright? I may have it on me. I keep it on me at all times. But your boy is not a boxer. But I think this is a textbook armbar. Like, he has the joint isolated. Sukuna... It's honestly crazy. I can't wait to see this animated in 10 years. But, like... Sukuna literally goes from having his hand restrained and Yuji probably about to go mink, to just immediately gripping Yuji up like this. And you see the lines already start to spread, which is good. Well, not good. It's not good for our cast. But it goes to show that Sukuna, thanks to the Hollow Wicker Basket, as long as he's in close contact with them, can still use curse techniques, which is very, very dangerous for our cast and crew, obviously. As we see, they get torn up. And very interestingly, I'm not sure what happens with YUTA here, because we see him get slashed up too. This is where it gets a little bit funky, a little bit weird, a little confusing to me. Is it does he throw out dismantles here to harm YUTA, or does he grab YUTA? I can't tell. That'll have to be something I'll need to see in the translations. But wait, does he even get cut here, or is that later? It looks like he has some fresh cuts, but then again, they look completely healed here. So maybe not. Maybe he doesn't even cut him here. But that would mean that Sukuna can still use cleave, which makes sense. You know, you're in close enough contact, you're likely under, like, once again, because of how cluttered it would make the screen, or the panel in this case, it's very likely that's why we don't see Hollow Wicker Basket drawn in its full glory. But presumably, Hollow Wicker Basket covers this entire area. And thusly, Yuji, who's entered Sukuna's domain, essentially, is liable to be attacked by him. But this is where we get the seemingly enough technique stacking. Because look, Yuta doesn't seem to pick up any different katana here. He was just using sky manipulation right here. Same katana, swings with his left. No, let's do a breakdown by this panel by panel. Alright, let's look at this. Katana, actually no, this katana's in his right. So he has the katana in his right. Swings with the katana, still on the right. Sukuna catches the blade. Yuji lunges in, latches on, textbook armbar. We get a whole explanation of Yuji's ability to see through the realms. This is the same katana, seemingly enough, by the way. We don't see Yuta draw another one. And remember, he was just using sky manipulation. Then, as Sukuna starts to cleave apart Yuji Itadori, we see that Yuta manages to whip out Cursed Speech. And this is something I'm more than happy to be wrong on. He tells Sukuna to stop! Wait a minute! And like, Yuta, if you don't start spamming it, well, of course he can't start spamming it now, because now that Sukuna knows it's there, he's gonna be like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, blessed boy. Stop your yapping. Your domain expansion, turn it off. Like, he's gonna cover his ears now. But he whips out Cursed Speech while seemingly enough still having access to sky manipulation. And we see that ultimately Yuji's attacks are doing numbers. At least numbers enough that every single time Yuji lands an attack, Sukuna's cursed energy control dulls, and his control over Megumi's body begins to fundamentally weaken. But the interesting thing is, what does that mean? Does that mean that Megumi's actually still conscious in there? Or does it just mean that, like, I don't know how to put this. Have you ever woken up? This is going to be such a weird comparison. Have you ever woken up from a dream or a nightmare, and you can still feel a majority of your body in the dream? Like, I don't know. This is a super weird thing. But, like, whenever I dream or I wake up, like, just when I wake up, I feel like I don't have full control of the body. Of course, I don't dream, and I usually don't have nightmares anymore. It's been years. But here I said I'll have like 15 nightmares in a row. But with it being the case, I remember there was one specific time where I was trying to wake up from a nightmare. And I did, but since my body was still so tired, the only thing I could do was open my eyes. And I could feel myself slipping back into the dream. Like, most of the body was not listening to me. And I, like, brute forced my way through it. Like, force consciousness back into the rest of my body. I think something like that's happening to Sukuna right now, where Megumi's body may be slumped. It may be sleep. It may still be knocked out. But due to that, the control that he's losing is stuff like that. Like his hand's not reacting or not listening to his brain signals, or he's becoming more sluggish. Something along those lines where he's falling back into the dream of cursed fingers of over 1,000 years. And if so, that's very impressive. Because no, Yuji's only hit him what? In this chapter alone, he hits him once beforehand, the initial hit that made Sukuna's soul jiggle. So that's one hit. Then 2 right here, so that's 3 hits. Then he gets launched. We'll count the feet as 2 more hits, so that's 5. Then we'll count this grab as another 2 hits, that's 7. So with 7 hits, 7, and that's me stretching it, Sukuna's already starting to lose control. So heaven forbid these two start going bar for bar for bar for bar for bar. They start doing clashes and stuff like that. Sukuna's going to start getting real sluggish. And then we see that Yuta, I wish we could see his face here. I really do. Because it looks like he stacks. Because this sword, what is this sword? Is this sword still... This sword may still be sky manipulation. But if that's the case, then he's stacking. He's stacking techniques, which is something that I was hoping he'd be able to do in Domain. And if so, that's crazy. this is extremely broken then, because being able to stack techniques like this to the point where he can use cursed speech and then sky manipulation at the same time, crazy. But of course, this could also be the other idea that I had in that domain video and just Yuta's technique video in general, where he could just be like fast rotating between them. Like he whipped out cursed speech, immediately turned it off, and then went with sky manipulation. But regardless, I think this does verbatim confirm, considering how close these two happen, we don't see him grab a blade. Oh, never mind. Oh, never mind. He does grab a blade right here. I just noticed that. So, So he can't stack them. It doesn't seem like he can stack them because he does need to grab a new blade here. So, but then again, how? How does this happen? Is this a cursed speech katana? I'm so confused. But with that being the case, I'll wait till the clean ones come out. But this is just loose theory stacking. I think he is just propelling through them because he grabs a separate blade here. Thin icebreaker. That he was very lucky though that this was thin icebreaker. What if this was like Jujutsu Kaisen technique? What was this gonna do? But of course, he thin icebreaker Sukuna again. And Rika wasting no time. And this one, note how this one does decent damage too. Like the first thin icebreaker, that's still gonna be like, oh, whatever, that hurt a little bit. But this one actually sends Sukuna flying, and then unmanifested Rika comes in for the cleanest layup this side of the Mississippi, and Sukuna is forced to block. But we see that he does recover rather quickly. So it's getting a little bit crazy. So the aptitude of these individuals, so this jujutsu jumping, if you will, is getting very, very proficient. And I do like that. I like the speed. I like the velocity. I like the power that's coming along with this amazing case of Jujutsu Kaisen. And we see as Sukuna still holds. I love that he's still holding all the wicker basket because he knows the danger. Rika goes in for that sledgehammer. She's like, I've been playing enough Dragon Ball games for years. Boom! And goes to immediately sledgehammer bro down as he lands on some concrete and rubble. But he dodges. It looks like he dodges here. The sledgehammer does destroy the area they're fighting in, but it doesn't look like Sukuna actually gets hit here. And we see, I love... wait, is Yuji here? I don't see... oh yeah, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful image here. Yuji and Yuta charging together, bro. Oh my god, yo, it's like all my fan fiction come to life, bro. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful seeing these two jump. Oh. It tickles my soul, bro. It tickles my soul. And we see them charge Sukuna, bro. This, honestly, I wish Yuji, the only issue I have, I wish Yuji was bigger on this panel. I really do. I wish he was a little bit bigger. If so, like, if these two were nearly the same size, it'd be so much cooler. But still, just this image of the two MCs charging in like this. Yuta blade at hand, Yuji barehanded, is epic. And I love how Sukuna slides to a stop, only to immediately start sending things out. Now, this is weird. This is weird. This is the weird thing. It's so weird that I have to take a sip. I'm so sorry, y'all. I know these videos are, like, way too long, and I can't do quick spoiler discussions and quick reviews, and, like, people already don't like me doing 3 videos on a single chapter anyway. I think it's fun. I feel like I always have a different thing to say and different things to point out across all these things, but I do be going in depth on these because I really, really like talking about it. So let me take a sip. Stay hydrated, folks. Speaking of, did you know that you can become a... I was about to do a Patreon and membership plug, but there's no smooth transition there. What does staying hydrated have to do with that? Just drink your water. But with it being the case, Sukuna somehow throws out dismantles. And, like, before, I could excuse the cleave here, right? Because even though Hollow Wicker Basket isn't being drawn, it makes sense that his hand is still being covered by it, and Yuji's in range of the hand, and nothing, like, unlike Hollow Wicker Basket is a separate technique, but it's not a technique that is inherent or like an actual curse technique. It's an ability that people can use. So it makes sense that he can use cleave inside his own safe range, his own little safe space. How does he throw out dismantles here, though? Why do these not get canceled? Is it because they can't be targeted by Jacob's like? Because essentially, one of the weird things about this is that it kind of kills any Angel versus Sukuna matchup, kind of, sort of, because I always thought if Sukuna were to have tried, like back when he was in Megami's body, if he were to have tried throwing up a dismantle in the general direction of Angel, I thought because of the holy light that it would immediately be turned off because it's a cursed technique. But it looks like Sukuna can use dismantle, and this is a really, I love this image. Very, very Horikoshi, Gege, were you chatting this week? Gege, it's really rare for you to do these kind of dynamic poses with these fingers. Look at the stretch on them bad boys. And I love the reactions here between the two of them. Like, no, Our jumping got God. Like, of course, we get a more equally sized Yuji and Yuta image when they're both getting hit. But how? Is it only because it's a sure hit applications of Jacob's Ladder? Is it because the Holy Light would only be targeting Sukuna? I'm assuming it's something like that. It's a loophole, right? Because technically, while the dismantles are slashes, they are cursed techniques, it doesn't seem like the Holy Light is shining everywhere. It's only a sure hit that's targeting Sukuna, not Sukuna's techniques. I'm assuming that's how I rationalize it. Because the domain itself doesn't seem to be soaked in the Holy Light. We don't see, especially from the redraws, we don't see those babies flying around everywhere, those little cherubs, I think. We don't see them. So I'm assuming that's how this is able to happen. Otherwise, if the whole area was soaked in the Holy Light, this shouldn't work. But this working is still very, very impressive. Though it is going to be revealed as a massive testament to Sukuna's power in spite of what's happening. Remember, this is Sukuna, while fatigued, still brain damaged, and having his soul in control over Megumi's body being shaken up by Yuji, and he still sends out slashes. They're able to tear both into Yuji and Yuta. And once again, let me check. Are his gauntlets damaged? I don't think they are. Okay. That's he just keeps disrespecting Rika. Because we see Rika's like, how dare you hurt my man? I'm sorry, Rika's like grunge Elmo. That's all I got. I can't do movie Rika's voice, English or Japanese stuff. But we see Rika come down from the top rope. But of course, Sukuna's like, you think I'm new to this? Nah, B. And immediately just kicks Rika across the face. And once again, I love it. It's so simple. It's so clean. The arms are they're still praying. He's still holding on tight. He knows if he lets that slip even a little bit, he's cooked, so he's still holding it. But he pulls out like a full Mori Jin true roundhouse kick from it just to knock Rika away. But credit to Rika. I'm not sure what happens here. Oh no. Well, yeah, so he kicks Rika's face, but since Rika is kind of like this conglomerate of shadow, face, and fists, she goes in for the punch, but Sukuna palms the punch, crazily enough, with seemingly his left hand, and slices Rika apart. Like, I think, I'll need to tell when this is cleaned up, I think he literally tears apart Rika's whole arm. And I forget if she regenerates this. Once again, I looked at the spoilers loosely, so consider this half a spoiler reaction, half a spoiler breakdown. But he literally tears Rika's whole arm apart, which may be a good reason why she's unmanifested, because who knows what that would have done to her whole body. And once again, this is crazy to think about. He just tore her apart, while with super low output and his soul shaken up. Dog. The Queen of Curses, y'all. Strongest Shikigami in the series outside of Big Raga himself, the Offstopper. Casually being torn apart like this. This is wild. And we see that it ain't nothing. As Sukuna realizes, in order to really, really deal a fatal blow that will take them out, now that they both have RCT, they're both extremely powerful, all that, he needs to get a good solid grip on them, and he needs to cut them. He has to. We find out that it's not just that his CE is low, it's that the kids have drastically upgraded the defensive capabilities of all the fighters. Which is interesting. Very, very interesting. And notably, Yuta's statement here is interesting. I wonder if this means something that we'll talk about in a little bit. But that's interesting. So, if this is a case where if Sukuna had the extra 5 seconds, if Yuta didn't immediately tell bro to chill out, Yuji may have perished. You literally see the lines start to spread across him. So Yuji generally had his life saved by Yuta here, because he was in cleave range, but Sukuna just couldn't activate it in time, which is once again a testament to Yuta's speed and speech ability in order for him to lock down Sukuna like this. But we get some interesting confirmations here, very interesting confirmations. Number one, everyone is just decently stronger, and the reference to Ryu here implies that he did actually end up using cleave on Ryu, I think. But maybe this is in reference to him using Dismantle and how that was able to work on Ryu because he had full output at the time, while now he doesn't, so he can't do what he did to Ryu. But hey, I'll take, even if it's a Ryu's panel, I'll take any callback to my boy Ryu. I love Ryu. But with that being the case, we get the confirmation that, see, this, it says CE, but I wonder if it's CT output, because I've heard mixed things. I've heard that, let me double check later into the chapter. I believe he only has as much cursed energy as Yuta now? Yuta. Yeah, this isn't mentioned in this. Yeah, this isn't. Oh, that's a crazy thing. We'll get to in a second. That's another thing your boy got right. But with that being the case, I can't tell exactly. Let me massage my brain on this one. Hold on. Let me Jimmy Neutron. Okay, let's think on this one. So I heard in some things, I saw in some translations, that Suguna's at about half, or maybe a little bit less than half than his overall curse energy amount. He's at the same amount as Yuta right now, which is still a crazy amount, and with his efficiency, it might as well still be infinite. But still, that's crazy. Number 2, everyone's just stronger. Defensively only, though. That's the weird part of the statement. Defensively, they're stronger, which implies that their general output's the same. But I think maybe this is an overall reinforcement thing. Once again, I'll have to wait until the translations for that. Number 3, it's revealed that yes, Yuta is very specifically tuned his domain to only attack Sukuna. Meaning that no one else, Rika, nor Yuta, obviously it's his own domain, and Yuji are affected by the sure hit, which is, verbatim, one of the highest domain skill feats in the entire series. It is. Like, this is stuff, this is legit stuff that Gojo couldn't do. That's crazy. That, like, Yuta being, like, we were glazing Higuruma. I think we gotta put Yuta back. I mean, to be fair, I think I always kind of had him at number 1. But, like, in terms of straight prodigy potential, being able to not only choose the sure hit of your domain, making it Jacob's Ladder, but also being at a point where you are able to target one person individually when you have 2 whole extra people in there? What? Like what? I get it. Maybe it's a binding vow for like the 5 minutes thing, but still, that is insane. The only people we've seen, and even then, Mahito didn't technically do that. If we go back to the only other time something similar to this happened, it was way back when, in the Versus Mahito arc, when Mahito first awakened his domain, I do believe, and he excluded Yuji from it. He only locked Nanami in. But notably, Yuta didn't do that. He locked everyone in. Presumably, no one else can enter unless their name is Maki. Like, if Akari were to have beaten her or Ume, he'd probably just be like, gently knocking on the domain's outer shell to make sure he doesn't crack it. He'd be like, hey, Yuta, let me in. Like, he can't do that. Only Maki could walk in right now, presumably. But he locked Yuji, and he locked Rika in there with him, alongside Sukuna. But the sure hit's only applying to Sukuna. That's a feat we've never seen before. Arguably, it's a domain skill feat only surpassed by open barrier domains, like Sukuna and Kenjaku's. I think, like, sure, he doesn't do a 0.2 second domain, he doesn't do a miniature domain, he doesn't do a giga domain. Presumably, we don't know how big the outer shell of this domain is. But in terms of straight skill with domains, domain expansions in particular, barriers is different. But I think we gotta put Sukuna at 1, Kenny at 2, and Yuta right there at 3, even above his sensei. I think so. I think it's time to say that. I think it's time. I think we gotta properly enter the Yuta Glaze arc, y'all. I think I've already low-key started. I've started to repent for any of my transgressions against Yuta. I think it's time for me to repent harder, bro, because it's that time. It's definitely, absolutely, and indubitably that time. I just had a horrid idea. Lord, I shouldn't. I just had an idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I just had an idea. But, nah, I won't do it. For reference, the idea was a short spoiler discussion, like 15 minutes, like the short reviews, or 20 minutes as the short reviews are. But I'm not sure. Because I'd be so, we'll see. I'll think about it. But we see, Sukuna naturally asks, alright, y'all are demons. I don't know how y'all did this. What did you do the past month? And I love how Yuji goes for, like, effort and perseverance. And he was like, we cheated. We just genuinely cheated. And both Yuji and Yuta are like, oh. I thought Yuta tells the truth and Yuji's lying, or vice versa. I wonder, but here's the thing. Yuta says we cheated. Are they boosted by Solo Forbidden Area? I don't think so, right? Because, like, Urahime never showed up and danced for them. But interesting. I wonder what he means by they cheated. Like, binding vows? Like, what did y'all do? What did Yuta mean by that? I'm interested to see that translated fully. But we see that Yuta in his brain is like, okay, I'll be real. If Gojo-sensei had not left lasting after effects on Sukuna, we would have instantly been slaughtered without having time to use RCT. So, that does confirm a couple things. One, it seems like Sukuna is generally trying to execute them, which is crazy. Two, it confirms that Gojo did have lasting after effects. Three, it confirms that Sukuna's output is drastically lowered. And four, it goes to show that these two are on like similar levels of RCT. Like, they both clean up these cuts relatively quickly and relatively easily. And it seems like Yuji's curse energy amounts have skyrocketed. Using this much RCT does not bother him at all. So, very, very impressive. And notably, Yuji himself, in the same way that I am, is very, very scared on like what would happen if they don't end everything right here, right now. If they fumble this bag, if they fumble this bag, it may be over. They may be cooked. So they immediately lock back in. Yuji, once again, I think he gets 3 minks. It may be 2 minks or 3 minks right here. He goes, mink, mink, mink. And Yuta lunges in, and Rika lunges in back with her good hand. I don't think she healed her other hand yet. But that's crazy, y'all. If they just say it, if Gojo hadn't left lasting after effects, they would have lost. Or at least instantly been executed, if Sukuna felt like it. But that does imply that Sukuna can't instantly execute them right now. Which is crazy, because Kashimo got instantly executed. I know it's a very specific scenario, and Kashimo did have to face some like amp dismantles, but still, that's wild. It implies that this trio right here is bulkier than Kashimo, which is crazy. But of course, we see Sukuna, he begins to block. Though admittedly, he still can't move these lower arms, so he leaves Yuta right in for an easy stab, and we see Yuta goes for it. Goes for something in particular. As with this opening left by Yuji pressing Sukuna's right arm and Rika pressing Sukuna's left, and he, for some reason, does not jump nor dodge backwards, because he just straight up can't. Yuta pulls out a different katana and pokes Sukuna on the chest. And he uses Charles's technique. Here's the thing. I was so shocked when I saw this. Because if you remember way back to that Yuta technique video, I was so convinced bro couldn't do it. I was like, he never saw Charles. There had been no reason for Charles to show up. We never see Charles in any of the flashbacks. But no, he has it. He has it. Which means, I do think this does, unless he ate a piece of Charles off screen. Unless he did that. You little freaky deaky. But unless he did that, unless he, no, a piece of Charles off screen, then bro just did that. Bro's just him. Bro's just like that for real. He just took the technique. How? Did Akari tell him? Did Charles show up off screen? Did Charles pull a combo, show up, be like, here's my technique, guy who can copy it, deuces, I'm gonna go write my manga? I don't know, but regardless, Yuta uses techniques, and I wonder if he can stack with this one, because he lands the hit on Sukuna, and then begins working, like, smacks him in the face. Sukuna's like, what in the world is going on here? And we see a hint of Charles' technique. We see a hint of Charles writing his manga here. And then we see Yuji lunge in, ready to cook. And he just, I love it. He kind of, I forget what this move is called. It looks like a Kamehameha. Alright, but I know it ain't. But this dual palm strike and knocks Sukuna back. And I love how Yuta chases behind and immediately goes for another swing. And Sukuna's like, hold on a second. I gotta take inventory of this, because this is actually getting... this is so fun. I love how he's like forced to like comment, like, hold on. Wait a minute. Ooh, we're in trouble right now. Let me actually lock in. Let me focus a little bit. As he begins to count the CTs that Yuta has copied. Angel's Jacob's Ladder, Earl's Space Bending, Drew Shigami Technique, Inumaki's Cursed Speech, Charles' Future Sight. And then Yuta realizes that, it's getting devious and dangerous. Well, he's going to probably open up that box. I need to get working on him. And he grabs a different blade. He realizes what it is and goes for it. And Sukuna, getting sick and tired of these games. Actually, no, this is even crazier. He whips out... So, is he once again, is he stacking? I'm so confused. Can he stack them or can he not stack them? Can he wield one of his own and then grab a katana? I'm not sure. But he uses ROCT, bends space, and pushes a sword through said bent space. Sukuna grabs the blade to defend himself, only to get the shock of his life, because he doesn't just have 5 CTs. YUTA OKKOTSU whips out cleave on Sukuna. Oh my God, I'm sorry. He's so him. He's so him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, bro. He's so him. Oh, he's so him. How can you be this Himothy? Unprovoked. YUTA, how are you so Himothy? How? My knees are cracking. My bones are crackety lacking, bro. How? He's too him. Too him. He whips out cleave on the cleaver himself. And look, you even see Sukuna's eyes start to tear. Like, they go back to the way they were when the brain damage first hit him from a limited void. It's so clean. Are we winning? Are we winning? Are we beating Sukuna? Like, something has to happen, right? Because this is too clean. We're looking too good right now. It looks too scrumptious. Overall, yeah. If you couldn't tell by how long I was yapping, and the fact that I'm genuinely considering making a quick spoiler discussion. Oh yeah, this chapter's gas. Oh yeah, of course. Like, it literally. I mean this in the best way possible. Do not take this as negativity. It feels like fan fiction come to life. It feels like Gege read my fan fiction. Admittedly, I don't actually have JJK fanfiction. I have Kingdom Hearts fanfiction, I have Legend of Zelda fanfiction, I have a lot of different fanfiction. I do not have JJK fanfiction. Well, I do have, like, a fan character. But, like, if it, like, you read my fanfiction is brought to life, bro. This is gorgeous. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see this translated. So much stuff will be clarified in translation, and once it's cleaned up, I'll get a better understanding of the images. Super duper excited for that, and I'm sorry, my mind is just blown. I'm super duper excited. Oh, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the new cleave in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter. And also, ad-free variations of all my videos. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Atkins Void. I'd like to give another big thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Gemlord, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Igneal, and Demix LND. Another scrumptious thank you to our $7 members, Autumn, Mornings, Lazo, and Sick Addiction. And I'd like to give another hefty thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And I'd like to give a thank you, an amazing thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder. And another thank you to our next $25 patron, eHack1. And a final thank you to our final $25 patron, Steeron.